Chapter 1. Gilda. Pinkie Pie hummed happily as she slipped a tray of freshly baked cupcakes in the oven and set a timer, being sure to keep it tucked away in her mane so she'll hear it no matter where she was in the bakery. She trotted along as she swept the confetti and other clutter and flipped the sign on the front door from open to closed. The sun was going to set soon, and with the cakes on vacation for a week, Pinkie was in charge of when Sugar Cube Corner opened and closed for the time being. She needed the time to clean up a little bit more of the previous party between her other personal tasks. After tossing the trash, Pinkie started to bounce upstairs when there was a knock at the door. She grumbled to herself, put on a smile, and turned around to greet whoever wanted her attention. She paused and blushed a little as she saw Rainbow Dash on the other side, casually glancing around as she waited for the door to be opened. She wasn't expecting to see the Pegasus again so soon after the little get-together with Gilda earlier that afternoon. Pinkie had felt particularly affectionate towards Dash since she moved to Ponyville, but it wasn't until the ordeal with Gilda that the Earth Pony had finally settled on her feelings for her. The way Dash had stood up for her at the party and told Gilda off made Pinkie feel so important and worthwhile in ways she never had before. She wanted to tell Dash how she felt so dearly, but with her side hobby always lurking over her shoulder, she wasn't sure when she should tell her, if she should do so at all. "Pinkie?" Dash asked, her voice muffled by the glass as she squinted to peer in. "Are you going to let me in?" Pinkie's blush grew a little more as she realized how much she was stalling, just standing in the middle of the bakery. She giggled with embarrassment and swiftly unlocked the door to let her friend inside. "Hey, Dash," Pinkie beamed. "What are you doing here?" "I just wanted to check on you after the party. Are you all right?" Pinkie fidgeted with her hooves a little. "She came to check on me." "Oh, yeah, I'm all right. That Gilda sure was a grump." Rainbow scoffed. "She was more than a grump. She was a complete asshole to my friends." She folded her ears back and scrunched her nose. "Especially you." "What do you mean?" "I mean what I said. She treated everyone horribly, but she seemed to target you specifically. I couldn't stand that, especially not from someone I thought was my friend." Rainbow sat down in a huff, looking at the ground beside her in anger. I don't know what her deal was. I guess she was just jealous. Pinkie glanced at the oven and back at Rainbow nervously. "Jealous? Of who? Me?" "More like jealous of us together," Dash corrected. Pinkie's heart skipped a beat. "Us together?" She gave a nervous giggle. Who said anything about us together?" It was finally Rainbow's turn to blush a little as she realized the implications Pinkie had gotten from her statement. "No, Pony, I mean, it's not like that necessarily, It's okay," Pinkie said quickly, cutting Dash off with a raised hoof and a tense but genuine smile, the blush remaining. "I getcha, no worries. Luckily we won't have to worry about her anymore." She let out her usual bubbly giggle, making the Pegasus ruffle her feathers a little, even though Pinkie nearly froze in place. She nearly let something slip right then and there. Rainbow cleared her throat and stood up. "Yeah, exactly. Griffinstone can have her. I've got all I need right here in Ponyville," she continued, wrapping her hooves around Pinkie for a hug. Pinkie giggled again just as the timer went off in her hair, making her whole body vibrate. Dash quickly retracted her hooves, leaving Pinkie to pull the timer from her mane and turn it off before rushing to the oven in a flash. "Oh, I'm sorry if I interrupted you in the middle of an order. What are you making?" Rainbow asked. Pinkie shut off the oven. "Oh no, that's okay, Dashie," she assured her. "It wasn't an order or anything, just a personal batch of cupcakes. Want one after I frost them?" Rainbow glanced up at the clock on the wall and inaudibly gasped at how late it already was. "Shit, sorry, Pinkie. I'll have to rain check that cupcake. I'm late for work." Pinkie's brow furrowed. "Work? Now? But it's nearly evening. Do you usually work night shifts for the weather team?" Rainbow stammered, caught off guard by being asked. "Yeah, sometimes. Night storms are a thing, after all. You know, for extra bits." She glanced up at the clock again. "Sorry, Pinkie, I gotta go. See ya." With that, she was gone, bursting through the door with a rainbow trail following behind. Pinkie was relieved, even if just a tad annoyed, that she would have to make another batch. But thankfully, the bakery fridge will keep the first ones fresh to sell the next day. Just a few seconds later, as she started sliding the cupcake tray into the fridge, Rainbow Dash came bursting back into the bakery out of breath, startling Pinkie a little. "Sorry," she said, panting. "I just wanted to ask real quick. If you wanted to hang out tomorrow night, you could give me that cupcake." Dash gave a weak but trying smirk to the pink mare. The blush on Pinkie's cheeks returned, much deeper than before, as she looked at the pony she admired so much. Did she just ask me on a date?" she asked herself. Regardless of the intentions, however, she couldn't possibly say no to such an offer, as she pranced in place excitedly. Dash gave her a quick hug and disappeared again, actually intending to go to work this time. Pinkie was elated as she started whipping up another batch of cupcakes. She went to make a batch of vanilla to pair with the chocolate batch cooling, knowing it was also Rainbow's favorite flavor. However, that small voice that made the roots of her hair stand up reminded her what was waiting for her down in her party cave. Well, I'm gonna have to make a new batch no matter what before I start that one," she casually said out loud to herself. "If you really do want to tell Rainbow Dash how you feel, what better way to do it than with one of your specialty cupcakes?" the small voice replied. Pinkie paused and gave it some thought. "Well, I don't know. What if it's too soon for that? What if we should take it—" She trailed off, letting the voice continue for her. "Slow," the voice hissed. "Do you really think that of all things that is what Rainbow Dash would want? Besides, there's no better time for confession than when you're already confessing to something else, right?" Pinkie's heart raced as she contemplated what her inner voice was suggesting. She's never told anyone her secret before, not even her family. Letting Dash in on something so personal, so intimate, would be one of the few ultimate showcases of her trust and love for the Pegasus. But it would also welcome judgment and the risk of possibly losing Rainbow as a friend, let alone anything more. She may not understand. But what if she does understand? The voice asked. Pinkie shook her head. "I don't know. What are the odds she would?" "You never know," the voice replied cryptically. "And you can't if you never tell her." Pinkie glanced over at the stairs leading up to her bedroom for a moment. "I guess so. She's the element of loyalty," the voice cooed. "It's within her nature to at the very least try to understand her friends and stick by them. Am I wrong?" No, that's true," Pinkie replied. "Then we have a fighting chance. Save the ingredients to make vanilla cupcakes later. I'm sure Rainbow Dash will love them." Pinkie was still hesitant, but inevitably gave in and agreed with herself. She trotted over to the door to make sure it was closed and locked, even drawing the curtains just to be safe. After rummaging through the cabinets, she grabbed the ingredients to make red velvet cake instead, quickly throwing it all together so she could pour it into another baking tray. With the new batch thrown in the oven, continuing to bathe the entirety of Sugar Cube Corner in the heavenly scent of cake, Pinkie grabbed the vanilla cake ingredients and bounced upstairs to her bedroom. After unlocking the secret compartment in the back of her closet, she grabbed Gummy from her bed in her hoof and hopped down the long, winding green tunnel slide that headed deep into a chasm beneath the bakery. The smell of blood and mucus hit her like a wave as soon as she entered the party cave, but she didn't mind. Gummy's pupils dilated as the smell of freshly killed flesh occupied his senses. Pinkie giggled when she felt him drooling a little on her back. "Don't worry, Gummy. I'll be sure to save some for you." The little alligator licked one of his eyes and slowly blinked one at a time in response as Pinkie trotted across the room to a large curtain that stretched wide across the cavern. It was a mix of pastel blue and yellow with the words, "Life is a Party," written in red across the top. It was covered in drawings of balloons and confetti, and silky to the touch. For reasons she couldn't explain, Pinkie looked over her shoulder past Gummy at the empty room. She glanced at the filing cabinets, the various cubbies holding her party supplies, and all the decorations she had strewn about. Not another pony was in sight. It was always just her down here. Yet the mare always had the strange feeling she needed to double-check before going behind the curtain. Pinkie squinted, almost scowled at the vacant cavern, before vanishing behind the fabric. The terrible smell of the demented oven back there wouldn't last too long, thankfully, as Pinkie was always sure to add a little magic to the treats she made down here. No one else would smell it anyway if they came in, thanks to the fresh red velvety dream baking upstairs. Pinky sat down at a desk across from the oven and started stringing together some beads and familiar brown feathers as she waited. She sighed longingly to herself as she thought about Rainbow, eager to finally tell her how she feels and give her a cupcake.